Hello and welcome to TYT Community. We've got a great show tonight, but first I want to introduce my panel. Joining us today is, of course, my esteemed co-host, Rhiannon Avaneen.
Hello.
We have Sean Fitzgerald from New York. And we have, of course, a long-standing favorite, Brian, a.k.a. the Piratefish, coming to us from Canada. How's it going, man?
All good. How's it going there?
Could be better. And I want to get into that. Our story today on this segment is we're going to talk about a little bit about North Korea. North Korea. Now, since March, North Korea has been making pretty much daily threats towards South Korea and the United States. And there's an article in Reuters, actually, that came out today that said that North Korea has decided to enter a state of war against the South. Now, basically, what I want to ask the panel and open it up for discussion is this just more bluster from Kim Jong Un, or is this something really to be concerned about? And I want to open it up. Just go ahead, jump in, anybody. What do you guys think? Bullshit or not bullshit?
Well, I think he has a lot to prove because, well, think about it. He's really just an ordinary person. There really is nothing about him that makes him extraordinary from any other human being on the planet. He's looks very young, very inexperienced, very privileged. He's always been rich. He inherited his power. So he really doesn't have any qualifications for being a leader. So he has a lot to prove.
He's young, yes, but he's not inexperienced. He's been groomed to do what he's doing. He knows what his father did. He knows what his grandfather did. To his people, he's not ascended from the heavens like his father did, but he is the offspring of his father, which gives him that divinity to his people. And there's a lot of them. They're very not.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. It's an utter illusion. He's not actually divine. There's not actually something special about him inherently as a human being.
But in the eyes of the North Koreans, he is. They believe that, just like religion, they believe that this is true. At least many of them do. I mean, there are those who are just going along with the game because they're scared of the ramifications if they don't go along with the game. But these are not an enlightened people. So a lot of them, you say he's nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary, but that's to us. To us, that's what he is. To those of us who are not in North Korea, he's nothing special. But inside of North Korea, he is, he is almost godlike, which is a scary thing. And here's where, and this is where I say, North Korea, he's not beyond. He is a scary, someone to be feared. From our standpoint, because the only thing scarier than a madman with nuclear weapons is a desperate madman with nuclear weapons. And Kim Jong Un is definitely in a position of being desperate. He is rightfully a madman because he takes after his father. He was taught by his father. It is the legend of his grandfather. So he is a desperate madman and has nuclear weapons. And he really has little to lose in this whole endeavor. I mean, his country is in dire straits. They are starving to death. They don't have electricity. They don't have infrastructure. So him declaring war and threatening people and going through with this is not out of the realm because he's a desperate madman. And you never know when the desperate madman is going to snap and just do something stupid, even though he knows it's stupid.
So it's pretty obvious that he's probably also mad because he can't bowl a perfect 300 like his dad. That's what the whole thing's about. Every game. But maybe he can ride one of those unicorns that they found, that they found the bones.
Yeah, probably.
But Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, you guys said he's not special, but how many of you could drive a car at 70 miles an hour when you were 3 years old? Maybe Jeff?
And that's I do say that he is special. There is some. He's special.
But do you see what I'm trying to say here? To an extent, he does have to kind of try to live up to these lies. In truth, what are lies and mythologies that are surrounding him.
Which is all the more reason why he can't just keep making threats. He's got to, at some point, he's got to follow through with his threats.
That's true.
Otherwise,
Definitely.
he's going to be a big joke even amongst his own people. And that's where we have to really be scared. I mean, this is so many in the American government right now are on Iran. And how that is the biggest threat. But no, don't believe that. They are not the biggest threat to not just the U.S. or North America, but to the world. North America is a far, far greater threat right now to world peace than Iran could ever be at the moment.
Well, there are many threats to world peace right now, with North Korea coming at us and South Korea and of course our country constantly having problems with other countries, and then there's problems in Libya and Egypt and Iran and Afghanistan, always and forever. How long I know this is a little off topic, but how long do you think it'll take before we're facing World War III?
Well, I don't know, but I really, I don't want to speculate, but because you never really know in these types of things.
Isn't it inevitable? Do you think we can come back from all this?
I don't know. Like I said, I can't tell the future, and I don't want to dare to tell the future, because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, a world war. Now we're sort of getting away from it, but world war like we've seen in the past, conventional world war. So there will never be another one of those. We're too technological at this point. The next world war will be, and we've talked, through the ages, we've been talking about how the next world war will be a push-button war, and that's pretty much what it's going to be. I mean, there'll still be troops, but the next world war is not going to be where we're going to see it on some one continent where all the countries get together and fight in unison and Axis and allies.
No, it's going to be far more terrifying than that.
It is. It's going to be more terrifying now. But will it come to that again? And that's where I fear North Korea. Because if North Korea does go off, if he does go off the deep end and do something stupid, it could escalate from there, because then China gets involved. First the U.S. gets involved, then China gets involved, then Russia gets involved. Now we're looking at real different dynamics and a whole new game of brinkmanship.
Right. North Korea could be a domino that releases all the others.
That's right. They'd be the catalyst that leads to something much worse.
But we're getting off into the weeds here, quite a bit, actually. I want to bring it back with a quote from the South Korea, their unification ministry, about the quote, or about the threats. It says, quote, "North Korea's statement today is not a new threat, but is the continuation of provocative threats." So, I mean, really, these new threats are just the same as the old threats. Now, you said earlier that, well, they're gonna, they're gonna have to follow through, but they've been making these threats pretty consistently ever since the 1960s.
But they didn't have nuclear weapons in the 1960s.
But
no, but
I mean, I would like to side with Jeff. These threats aren't really that credible. Like if you read from the North Korean source, the South Korean sources and the American sources, what they're saying is they haven't moved any of their factories or any of their people away from the border between North and South Korea. In a real situation, where they would try and attack South Korea, they would put soldiers on the border. Like they still have the regular people. Like we've seen these threats before from Kim Jong Il, and now from Kim Jong Un. It's all about appealing to the people, so they could seem strong to the people, and like they don't have to follow through because they have an unbelievably censored media. They'll just be like, oh, they all backed off because I'm so awesome and I'm Kim Jong Un. Like,
That's true. It could all just be a show.
Yeah, it's the power of propaganda, and even the White House National Security Council spokeswoman said North Korea's announcement followed a familiar pattern of rhetoric. So once again, it's just more of the same, and nothing I don't think that we should freak out about. It's this big talker talking big.
But this is the thing, and this is where I come to the fact that the problem with a madman is they are unpredictable. And yeah, one day they're making stupid idle threats that they've been making forever, and one day he just wakes up and goes, screw it. It's time.
I don't think he's a madman. I think he's trying to keep his power like his dad. Like they are a little crazy, but they're basically, I hate to give them this word, but they're kings. Like they're hereditary dictators. That's what a king is.
They seem crazy and touched probably to us because they're so disconnected from the rest of everyone else's reality. They seem almost alien to the rest of the world.
But to me, they're really politicians that are hoping for self-preservation. Like he's not going to do anything that could possibly hurt him, and that's who we would target. That's who we would bomb. That's who the Chinese would target, and the Chinese would bomb. So. But
right now, Kim Jong Un, or the North Koreans, they're selling their people to China and Russia as slave labor. They're putting them in camps, and they work there under contract for a number of years as slave labor. And these North Koreans are starting to realize what's going on because a lot of them have been wanting to go home, and they're not allowed to go home, and they're only allowed, if they are, it's only for short visits, and then they got to go back to the camps. And even as just by the fact that they're getting outside of North Korea, they're starting to realize that there is a world beyond their borders, and it's becoming a bad situation when you couple what's actually going on inside North Korea. So the government, the powers that be over there right now, they gotta be careful because while their people don't have much to uprise against them with, there's the problem that they could have a problem with their power.
Well, I want to kind of get back to the relations between North and South Korea. Now, an important thing to note is that North Korea has opened up a place called the Kaesong Industrial Zone, in which the South Koreans were able to basically industrialize, and North Korea gets a part of that. And so they have this, even with all of these threats. In the newest threat, they still haven't closed Kaesong. Now, they threatened to close Kaesong, but they still haven't done it yet, saying that they don't really want to shut down that foreign investment. So I thought that was kind of an interesting fact to throw in there. Right. Thoughts?
That was my point about the thing on the border earlier. I just didn't know the name. Is that they would have shut that down. Like that would have been the first thing they did if they were going to attack. But yeah, I mean, if anything, that little industrial thing sounds a little better. I'm about to say something controversial, but everybody calm down. But if the North Koreans are selling their people for slave labor, the United States should buy them and free them. Like I don't like. What's wrong with us? If we could scheme our way into getting some of their people free, like we should definitely do that.
Well, they're not being offered to us. So remember, it's just to their communist brothers. They're just their communist allies. That's why they're going there. Because there's the possibility that they can get them. I mean, I know what you're saying, Sean. I'm not disagreeing. I don't think it was that controversial because the thought is a good thought. Although you got to question who would be who would be bringing them over to the States. And
well, I'm saying I did say we should buy them, right?
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
saying, like,
yeah, no.
I want to add that we're to free them, like not to
I
keep them.
know. But yeah, no, and if the offer was there, that would be great. But it's only because they want those people back. They don't want to lose them. They're not. They're only selling them on contract. They only sell them for like 10 years, and then they got to come back home. And that's why they know if they were to do that with the U.S., then people ain't coming back home.
Right.
Well, okay. You kind of talked about some of the allies and stuff. Well, you got Russia calling for restraint. You got China calling for restraint. You know, so you've got those allies that are saying, "Hey, North Korea, sit down, keep it down, turn it down."
Right. Hopefully he has enough sense to care enough about his relationships with his allies to not do anything drastic.
Well, yeah, and that's the great game of brinkmanship, and where does it fall apart? That's the big question. That's the $64,000 question.
Well, and he hasn't taken the first steps yet that would indicate that he is seriously ready about to do anything. So I don't think it's time to worry too much.
All right, so
let's say he did. Let's say he did just fire off a missile tomorrow at Hawaii.
It wouldn't make it.
It wouldn't make it.
Well, okay. Well, let's be more realistic. He fires a missile tomorrow into South Korea.
Yeah, that'd be a problem. But would he? Why? What would he do it though? He's got to have the balls to come up and say.
Oh no, and I'm just saying.
Let's
just for the sake of argument say he did. He lost his marbles tomorrow, and went to his commanders and said fire. And they do. Do you think it would be over quick? Do you think South Korea would just walk in and just mow them down, or do you think this would be a big fight?
I don't know. It would be long, drawn out. I think there's like millions of like soldiers that are dug in North Korea. I mean, but the thing is, the Chinese don't want that to happen near their borders. So like that, they would actually help us. Like they're trading with North Korea to keep them in check. Like they don't want them to be a wild card. So the area will police itself to some extent.
All right. So I guess a final question here, or I want to go back to my original question: is this all bullshit or not? All this rhetoric, is it bullshit or not?
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Mostly just bullshit. Just, a peacock showing his feathers, trying to impress someone.
All right, Brian.
I for the most part think it's bullshit. I mean, I think it's a lot of chest thumping. But the problem, as I've made clear here, I just think it needs to be carefully monitored because there is something of concern there. It shouldn't just be fluffed off and said, oh, it's just bullshit.
All right, but I guess it's a unanimous decision on our very first impromptu ruling, I guess, of bullshit. Does anybody have any other thoughts on it?
Try not to panic, but definitely I agree with Brian in that we should definitely keep an eye on North Korea.
Oh, of course.
Because the way that they run their country, the way that they run their government, the way that they indoctrinate their people is extremely disturbing and is something that could cause trouble. I mean, especially for South Korea. They've been a problem for South Korea in the past, so they could be a serious problem again. So, but for now, don't worry, don't panic. I don't think he's actually trying or intending to do anything serious. He does have other countries and their viewpoints to consider.
You know what? Here's another question that I want to pose to everybody. Should we send Rodman again?
Affirmative.
Should we send Rod? We gotta call on Ambassador Rodman to go out there and regulate.
That was interesting.
I think, quite honestly, should send him there as permanent ambassador. Let him go over there, and he can stay there and he can do whatever the hell he wants with them, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
If they invade the embassy and something happens to them, oh well.
Well, all they have to do is just, in order to give him that spot, man, he's got to call Obama. He's just got to call him.
They both like basketball. I don't know if you guys heard.
Oh yeah. just you got to call Obama. Okay, I wish I had that clip right now.
Yeah, here I've got him on my quick dial. He's one of my hot numbers on my cell phone. I'll just give Obama a call.
But okay, so let's just go into final thoughts then. Sean, what are your final thoughts, man?
North Korea, their threat's not that serious. We've been here before. They can't hit us. They can hit South Korea, but it's pretty unlikely.
All right, short but sweet. Ree, let's get your final thoughts.
North Korea doesn't really pose a threat to me and our country, in my opinion. I think they are more of a threat to their own people than they are to America right now. And that does concern me, actually. The people in that country, I wish there was something that we could do to help them. But other than that, I'm not worried about it. I don't think that they could actually stand up to an attack upon America, and I don't think that they're willing to take that chance right now.
All right, Brian, let's get your final thoughts on this one.
No, I don't have much in a final thought beyond my whole thing of it, that it's bullshit there. But I do say that they cause me a lot of concern, because it's not what they can do that worries me. It's what they can start that worries me.
All right, and I'm just going to close off this segment with my own final thought. I just want to say that as far as all this continuing rhetoric coming from North Korea, I think it's just a lot of hot air. I don't think Kim Jong Un is a stupid person. I think he knows the situation, but I also think he's playing a political game at home. He's trying to keep his people in line and to make his country, and to consolidate and to keep his own power. And that's really what this is all about. Threatening the West is a useful canard to go to when you're trying to maintain control of your own people who are desperate, who are working and living in terrible conditions, and are even eating each other. I mean, you can't get more desperate than that. I just hope that the people can stop eating each other, because nobody wants that. And those are my thoughts. All right, thank you for watching TYT Community. I want to thank my panel for showing up and giving their excellent viewpoints. Actually, I want to ask where we can find everybody. Sean, where can we find you?
You can find me at twitter.com/IamSean90, and you can find me starting the revolution to get David Hayter back.
All right. And for all those who don't know, he is a voice actor on Metal Gear Solid.
They all know.
They all know. Okay, Ree, where can we find you?
You can find me at Twitter at Lady Rhiannon824. You can find me on Facebook.com/LadyRhiannon824, and find my blog at LadyRhiannon824.blogspot.com, and also watch my channel, The Lady Rhiannon, YouTube.com/LadyRhiannon824.
Okay, Brian, where can we find you?
There, that's the easiest place to find me. You find me there, and anywhere else that you want to follow me, you'll find it when you go there.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Jeff's Politics, and you can also find this channel here on YouTube, youtube.com/JC Waldorf. That's my channel, and you can find and subscribe to TYT Community at TYT or youtube.com/TYT Community. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.